In today's video, we are going to go through an example of somebody who almost left $155,000 on the table because a company lowballed him when they offered him a salary. And to be frank, he was just really nervous. He had been laid off 8.5 months previously, and he was worried, okay, well, what's going to happen if I come back or I try to counter this? What if they rescind the offer? Then I'm back to square one. So in today's video, we are going to walk through the exact step, the exact email script that we use to counter those lowball offers so that you make sure you're not leaving any money on the table, especially in today's market. So let's dive in. As in today's video, we're going to go through the exact steps that this person was able to use after being laid off for over 8 months. Here is the exact script that he used to negotiate up essentially an added $155,000 that he was going to leave on the table. So as you can see here, as we can all imagine, or you're in the situation right now, when you are laid off, it is extremely tough to have that courage to counter somebody's lowball offer. But they had offered him 190K base and 190K in stocks. And so he was able to use this exact framework that you guys are going to learn to bump that up by over $155,000 in total. His base salary went up by 30, his stock up by 110, and an added sign-on bonus of $15,000. So this is going to work whether you are going for your first six-figure job or your first $300,000 job or your first, seven-figure comp package. This is the exact same process that you'll use. So here's what we're going to cover: how to mention salary expectations for the very first time, very early on in conversations, the 3 options that you'll use to counter a lowball offer, and then one very polite negotiation email that each of our students sends out whenever they get an offer from a company. So the very first time you're asked about salary, this is going to be very early on in the process, usually by a recruiter or a hiring manager in your first call. What you are going to do, and this is probably one of our students' secret weapons, is you are going to have research done beforehand so you know what to actually ask for. What's your skill set worth? How much does it cost to live, especially if you're moving to a new place? Are you willing to go lower if there's some added bonus from working at that company, name recognition, mentorship, things like that? What other factors are important to you? And then your non-negotiables that you will not walk away from. So a couple of great tools for this are going to be My Salary, Scale, Glassdoor, Payscale.com, Salary.com, even LinkedIn will have a lot of this information. You can just really do a simple Google search to type in, your actual skill set, the years of experience that you have, the location, things like that. So once you have that information, the very first time they ask you what your salary expectations are, what that range is, whatever the case may be, you are going to let them know salary is not your number one motivator. There are things that matter to you, the range you're comfortable with, and then you're going to ask them, hey, I'm curious, what does the salary range look like for this specific role? So we're going to go through this. Essentially, the range that you give them, the X should always be slightly higher than the lowest you're willing or happy to accept. And then the Y should be something that you are just over the moon ecstatic about accepting. And then those numbers are going to come from your research. So how this looks in real life, whenever somebody asks you, what your salary expectations are. In this example, we're going to use somebody who's in about the $200,000 range. This is how you would respond. I'm happy to answer that. But first, let me start by saying salary is not really my number one motivator. My preference would be to join an organization that aligns with my values, has a great culture and a place where I can not only make a positive impact, but also learn from the team that I'd be working with. And from our conversation so far and my research, this company really seems to mark off all of those things. Now, that being said, in full transparency, I'm currently in the interview process with 3 other companies, and the salaries they're offering range from, 214 to about 245,000, which I'm perfectly comfortable with. So I'm curious, if you don't mind my asking, what's the salary range for this role? So this is something that you will want to practice so that it sounds completely natural. Your voice is not quivering. It's not, especially a lot of the folks that we work with, they are getting, $50,000, $70,000, $30,000 pay bumps. And those numbers, the first time they say them, are, well, quite frankly, terrifying. They don't feel natural at first. So you have to practice that through and through so that it sounds really natural for you. So once you have done that pre-work properly, you will get an offer from a company. Typically, you'll get multiple offers from companies. We'll go through that in just a bit. But when you do get that offer, you want to counter it with options. And the goal here is not to, squeeze them for all they're worth, or, give up your non-negotiables or anything like that. You want to find win-win situations. So the options that our students will typically use, usually they'll pick 2 to 3 of these. Option 1 is just a straight up higher salary. Option 2 is often a more mid-range salary, but some other perk that's really important to them. A better title, performance-based bonus, sign-on bonus, vacation time, remote work, things like that. And then option 3 is going to be a slightly lower salary, but they'll get in writing that they're going to revisit the comp after, a mid-year performance review or other perks that they really care about. So it's very important here. And I'm going to show you an exact or an actual example of one of the emails that our students sent to get exactly what they wanted from a company. And you'll notice as we go through that, you're going to back it up, not by bragging about yourself, but by sharing your value, your past experience, your accomplishments, how it's in alignment with what you're asking for. And then the data, this is so, so important. This is why I covered this earlier on. You want to make sure you've got data to back up the numbers that you're about to share with them. And it's also arguably most important that you do not sound arrogant. You want to let that research and your experience do the talking for you. So this is the exact email. You can just tweak this for the company, and the numbers that you're okay with, the perks you're okay with. But essentially, you're just saying, thank you so much for the offer and the opportunity at this company. I really look forward to the potential of working with the team and growing with the company. After reviewing the offer and the benefits handbook, I want to be fully transparent regarding the numbers. Based on the exploratory research that I did on this role via insert where you did your research, and factoring in my background and how my experience along with my achievements are very much aligned with what's being required in this role at this company, I found that more comparable salary range for this role is anywhere between 153 to 165,750. Notice very specific numbers there. That is very important, that you have very specific numbers there. You don't want to round in this email. Lastly, the other 2 roles that I'm in the final stages with the interview process have starting salaries of 160K plus. Based on these numbers, I think we're a little off from my expectation of the salary and total compensation. I would like to respectfully ask if there's any flexibility to close that gap, and if you consider one of the following options. Very important that you give options here. You want to show that you are taking initiative, that you're trying to be equal and fair, consider their side of the situation as well. And then this is where you insert your version of those 3 options. You'll notice here, highest salary, mid-range, lower, with the things that are important to them. Different titles, different bonuses, different stock options. And then of course, you always want to close with this. Again, I'm extremely optimistic about this opportunity, and this is still my number 1 choice, and I'm happy to discuss this further. Thank you. Very important that you keep that happy, humble, hungry. Now, as you notice here, especially for folks who are laid off, we did mention, I'm in the final interview stages with these other companies. The next question I'll typically get from folks in this employer-driven market, I should say, is, well, what if this is my only offer? How do I do that? So right below this, either in the comments or the description below, I'm going to put a step-by-step guide. This is the exact step. Our founder, Gaurav, actually just put this together. These are the exact steps that our students have been using to land multiple high-paying job offers in typically less than 75 days. And so far in 2023, we have been crushing our salary bump numbers. Up until this point, our average numbers were that it took 63 days to land on average a $37,000 pay bump. So far in this calendar year, our average salary bump for our students has been over $74,000. So this is working very much in today's market. I will leave the link so that you guys can go through it. It is the exact step-by-step process with very tangible examples that you can come in to troubleshoot whatever stage or whatever step you're getting stuck at, either to have better conversation or land more interviews, land more offers, or even just identify what role you should be applying for. This is going to help you out quite a bit. So I will leave that link below, or feel free to reach out to me if you've got any questions, and I will see you guys in the next one. Talk soon.